What we want to do now is take a look at the tool that we will be working with this semester. It's called Replit. So to get there, you can go to your courses and then click on the lab subject schedule link. Then you can click on the Introduction to REPL Lab 1 notes. And once you're there, the first tab will describe Replit. So it is a free-to-use integrated development environment that works in any web browser. So you don't have to download anything. You can work directly in your web browser. And we are going to use this tool to program in C++ this semester. So you can click on the link here to go to the sign up page, and you will need to create a Replit account before starting Lab 1. You will be using this account for the entire semester, and the important part I want to mention here is that your Replit account, as in your username, should contain your name, but also have an element of randomness. For example, if your name was John Smith with the following email address, JS897, you might use John Smith 835 as your username, and your lab instructor will know that this is you because of the name John Smith. Or you could use your course's username followed by something random afterwards, so that we can tell that this is you based on the your course's username. And then the randomness just helps hide your account. There's some more information on this page here that I'll let you dive into. And what we'll focus on right now is signing up an account. Please make sure that you remember your username and password because you will use this the whole semester. You will then want to check your email and click the verification link to verify your email address. Once you've created your account, you will get a welcome message and you will be able to start coding right away here. So what we want to do just to test it out, we can click on New REPL, and there are different languages that you can use. We are going to click C++, and then we can give this REPL a name. So we can click on Create REPL. And now the page is split into 3 parts. On the left here, you can see where you have files and folders. You can click Add File or Add Folder to create new files and folders there. In the middle, we have our C++ code. And on the right, we have a bash terminal, which will run our code and show output. So right now, we have a message that says Hello World. We will never press the green Run button at the top. Instead, we will manually compile and run our code using terminal commands. So to do that, we would say g++ main.cpp -o main. That will compile our file and produce an executable. Then we will run the executable by saying ./main. And now we see our message that says Hello World. Video demonstrations will show you terminal commands in order to compile and run your code, so don't worry, we will guide you through this. You can adjust the screen by moving the terminal window, and you can zoom in and out. On Windows, you can press Ctrl+ to zoom in. On a Mac, you can press Command+. You can press Ctrl- or Command- to zoom out. A fun feature about Replit is that it automatically saves your work as you make changes. You can click on your account name here, and you can click on My REPLs to see all of the REPLs that you've created. So if you ever close out of your browser and log back into REPL later, you can click My REPLs to come back to your work. Now I want to emphasize that these REPLs are public, so that's why we want you to have a random username so that people can't find you, and we will also provide you a space in Replit where you can work privately so that nobody can steal your work. We will demonstrate the Replit team, the private workspace, later. One of the settings that everybody loves is if you click on the hamburger button in the top left, you will notice a little moon icon here. That is the dark theme for Replit. So that might be a lot easier on the eyes when you're programming there. So you can click that little moon icon. If you want to switch back to the light theme, you can click in that same spot with the sun. For now, let's take a look at the dark theme. And on the left, there is a settings icon here that you can click. And there are different options here to customize your Replit project. So for example, we have the layout here. Right now it is side by side. If I click here, I can drag the terminal around, so depending on how you want to arrange things, that's pretty nice. You can also click here and have a stacked layout, and you can drag up and down depending on whether you're programming at the moment or working in the terminal. There's also a setting for font size, which is pretty helpful. You can have large or even bigger font, whatever you prefer. There is the indent type, indent size. Keybinds is what kind of little icon you want here to show where you are in your code. So right now I have the default, the flashing cursor. I can click Emacs instead, and I get this flashing block. Whichever you prefer, feel free to play with it there. I will switch this back to default. And then there's a setting for wrapping here. So I'm going to click soft wrap, and this is what I will use this semester. So if I have my layout set to side by side and I have wrapping activated with a soft wrap, that means that if I move one part of Replit over to the other, the text will wrap in front of that so that I can still read what's there. If that bothers you, you can set wrapping to none, and that will keep your code intact the way you had it, and then you can just drag the window back when you need to look at the code again. I recommend leaving your code intelligence enabled. This will allow you to auto-complete variable names, and it will catch any bugs you write in your code. If you disable code intelligence, that means you can write whatever and there will be no error checking for you. So again, I recommend leaving your code intelligence enabled, because that way, if you start to write typos or anything along those lines, the code intelligence will catch that and give you a red underline there. So now I'm going to switch back to the light theme because that's what I use for the default. And if we click back on files, one of the most important features of Replit is downloading your work. So if we worked in main.cpp, let's say, there's this icon with 3 dots here. You can click on it and click download to download your current code file. So that is how you will download your work this semester. You will simply select the file you have been working on, and then you will click here to download it. So that's our brief introduction to Replit here. We will continue learning more about the features as we progress in this lab. So now I recommend that you take about a minute to play around with Replit here, and if you need any help, please feel free to ask your lab instructor for assistance.